All right, so hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I am Bhavesh from SwiftEnterprise product management team. We hope you are home, healthy and safe. These certainly are unprecedented times, but we are sure this too shall pass. We are happy to inform you that the development of Swift Enterprise has not dropped pace. Uh, in fact, the Swift Enterprise team has worked hard to deliver new features and enhancements in the 6.7 release to help you on your agile transformation journey. In today's session, we will give you an overview of the enhancements to our AI powered capabilities. We will have a look at the brand new way to gather work requests from the external users and go over the enhancements to the REST APIs as well. Along with these, we have enhanced other areas of the application to make your overall experience smoother. And yes, we are sure your virtual meetings and conference calls would have increased significantly. So we are simply sharing the recording with you so that you can watch it at your convenience. Regardless of that, we would love to hear from you. So please feel free to get back to us in case you have any questions or if you have any feedback for anything that we will be demonstrating today. We'll be happy to hear you, and our support teams will be there to help you with it as well. So the agenda for today's session is we'll first look at the enhancements that we have done for our AI powered capabilities. So we have enhanced the auto population feature so that only specific fields of your choice get auto-populated by the AI recommendation engine. Along with that, we'll also look at how you can quickly look at similar work items for any of the work items that you have been working on. And of course, we would like you to do more across systems. So we have introduced a brand new feature called external work requests. So this will greatly benefit those who are looking to gather work requests from external users, and setting it up and using it is going to be a very easy process. So we will go over it in this demonstration step by step as well. On the REST API front, we have introduced rate limit throttling and also updated some of the responses for our REST APIs. And on the usability front, what we have done is we are continuing to make improvements wherever we have been receiving feedback from our customers. So, for example, here what we have done is ensured that the selected values are always shown on top for multi-select fields. And if you have any comments added recently on your cards, those cards get highlighted much more easily. And we have also brought in support for the modern Microsoft Edge browser. We'll talk about these towards the end of the session. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, we look at the enhancements for the AI-powered capabilities. For that, let me first switch to the application. All right, so what I have done here is I have opened up my user story creation page. And just like any other user story form, it would have the typical name and description fields. And along with it, it will have another bunch of fields. So in this case, I have the type of user story this is, what module it belongs to, what would be the theme and epic, which team would work on it, who would be its card owner, and finally the release and sprint in which the user story would be delivered. Now, of course, at the time of creation, I would like certain fields to be auto-populated based on the name and description I would provide, such as the type, module, theme, and epic, and even the team. Uh, it generally gets taken up by. But card owner is something I would like it not to be auto-populated and rather have the card owner select himself or herself to work on this user story. So this is not something I would like to be auto-populated. Similarly, for release and sprint, this is something which should happen based on availability of the resources, prioritization by the business, and various other factors that go into getting a user story into a release and sprint. So there are certain fields that I wouldn't want to be updated or auto-populated at the time of user story creation. So what we have done in this release is, as part of the configuration, when you go about setting up the AI auto-population feature, you will have an option to go about selecting the fields that you would like to be auto-populated at the time of the work item creation. So here I have selected only those fields that I would like to be auto-populated. So let me try and demonstrate how that works. So for example, this is one of the new features that we have been working on, ability to filter cards on the execution board of our SwiftEnterprise mobile app. Now, I've given a basic description, and that should be enough for the AI-powered recommendation engine to recommend or auto-populate certain fields here. So the moment I tab out of the description here, what would happen is it has auto-populated other fields. So it has detected this user story as a new feature. It has detected the module as mobile, theme as mobility, epic as the EP on mobile app, and even gone ahead and had selected the team which typically works on the mobile app related cards. And as I would have liked it to be, the card owner, release, and sprint fields have not been auto-populated. So that's how you can make use of this additional configuration for your various kinds of work item types. So fields which you would typically like to be updated as the work item progresses, those fields can be excluded from the auto population. So moving on to the next enhancement. For that, let me navigate to a ticket that I have marked here. So typically there would be several tickets that get logged, and having reference to similar tickets would definitely help, because that will help you understand how a similar ticket has been dealt with, how you can probably reach the resolution faster by copying or going over similar steps to debug the issue. So, for example, in this case, I have opened up a ticket which is about a low battery life performance. And what you would see here on the right hand side is uh, a bulb icon which will help you look at similar tickets. So the moment I click on the bulb icon, it shows me similar tickets, which in this case are the charging issue with the laptop. So it has recommended me 5 tickets which are similar to this one. So I can open up the details of any of these tickets and have a look at how these tickets have been dealt with earlier. So that's one of the several ways in which you can make use of the similar work items feature. So up until now, this feature was available only at the time of work item creation, but now you can go to any of the work items that you have enabled this feature for, and simply click on the bulb icon to view similar work items accordingly. So be it a ticket, an action item, or a defect, the AI recommendation engine will quickly get back to you with similar items so that you can have a look at its details and work on it in a better manner. Okay, so to quickly recap on what we saw here, we looked at how the auto population feature works uh, for selected fields, so that the other fields that you would typically like it to be updated throughout the life cycle of the work item, or based on specific business rules, those kind of fields can be excluded from the auto population behavior. And we then looked at how you can go about looking for similar work items simply by clicking on the bulb icon next to the details view of the work item, and it will show you a list of similar work items. You can go ahead and look at the details so that you can figure out a better way or a faster way to resolve or work on that issue. Okay, so moving on to our next section of how we can do more across the systems. So one of the new features that we have as part of this release is the external work requests. So there are times when you want to track work requests coming from users who are not part of your system. It could be some feedback, a ticket, a bug, or simply something that needs to be added in your work tracker. So generally, this requires some sort of integration so that the request gets added as a work item in your project, or you would need someone to gather all these requests and collate them in an Excel and import it into our system. Now, of course, all of this sounds cumbersome. So what the external work request does is it cuts short all these steps. This feature is going to allow you to configure a new form inside your project, and this form can have specific fields that are already available as part of your work item type. So you can reuse those fields to build a new form, publish it on any other website page that you have, and when a user goes ahead and fills in all the details and submits it, a work item will get created inside the project. So that's pretty much that needs to be done in order to gather requests from users who are not going to be part of your project or the application itself. So let me show you how that can be done. So for that, let me switch to the application. So I have navigated inside a project and I'm maintaining this project for a new product development. I'm wanting to keep track of all the user stories, the technical stories, bugs, and any kind of work that needs to be done in order to build that project. I have created a customer feedback form as well so that we continuously keep hearing from our customers and build and enhance our product accordingly. So while I have created a form inside the project, of course, not all of my users for that product would have access to this project to create customer feedback requests. So for that, what I would do here is I can create an external work request. Before that, I could go ahead and simply make a selection to ensure that customer feedback is available as one of the card types for which I can create a external work request. So first of what I'll do is I'll simply provide the name for this. So I'll say customer feedback form. That's the name of my external work request here. I'll select customer feedback as the work item type for which the form will be built. Next step is to create a trigger. So I will say provide feedback as the trigger here. And as you can see, there's a preview on the right hand side that will help you understand how the trigger text is going to look like. So you can decide on the position, on how it should be placed on your website page, what should be the font color, what should be the background color. All that is possible here. And once you have decided on how the trigger text should look like and be positioned, the next step is, of course, to go ahead and create the work request form itself. So what will happen here is a window is going to pop up when the user clicks on the trigger text. So we'll have to ensure that it is user friendly for the customer to provide all the details. So we will provide a appropriate name or a appropriate window title. So I'll say provide feedback as the title. I'll say as part of the guidance text, I'll say uh, please provide the product version and the browser version as part of your request. And that would be a guidance text that you can always have on top whenever the user is going to provide feedback. So uh, that gets configured. Along with that, I can have work request title as the default text for the work request title and the description. And finally, I get the option to go ahead and make selection of the fields that I would like to be available as part of the feedback form. So I could say that version number and browser could be mandatory fields. Um the feedback module selection, it may be mandatory here as part of the available fields on the form, but could be so that the end user doesn't exactly know how the module categorization has been done internally by us. So we'll keep that as optional and we will update it once we receive the request. Similarly, I can make selection of other fields as well. So I can say what kind of feedback this is. If I have a date field, I could place that here as well, asking if in case you're wanting us to get back by a certain date. And that's how I can go about creating the new form. Now, along with all these fields, of course, we would want to know who has provided the feedback and how we can reach back to the person. So in this case, we are capturing the name and the email address. Along with that, you can decide whether you would want the user to provide uh, the option to attach a file along with the request. So now that I have the form configured, and what this will do is it will generate a code snippet that I can include as part of my website page itself. So say select all here, and I have a page wherein I can include this code snippet. And once I open up this HTML page, what you will see here is the provide feedback trigger has come up on top, just like I have configured the trigger to be shown. So once the user clicks on the trigger, I'll see the form come up, and I can provide a title saying that maybe I want a feature that will allow me to lock time via the chatbot. So that would be the title, and I can provide a short description saying that it would be great if I can lock time using the chatbot. And the next step, as these are mandatory fields that we had configured for the feedback form, I'll go ahead and make a selection here. I can make a selection for the module, although it's an optional field. And finally, I can go ahead and make a selection of the file that can be uploaded. In this case, I'll skip that and I'll say and I'll hit submit. Now what this would do is it will create a work item for my customer feedback form inside my project, and it has also shared with me the ID. Now please note while this is a temporary pop-up that has been shown, email will be sent on the same email address along with the details of the ID and the project in which the work item has been created. So that also happens simultaneously as you get a confirmation for the work item being created here. So that way you can always follow up based on the details that you have received on your email. So for now, what I'll do is I'll go to the customer feedback form and see that the request has been logged inside the system. Uh, I open it up. It shows that the name and the description I had provided, the name of the reporter, the email address I had provided, along with the source. So source is the name of the external work request form that we had configured. So provide feedback was the name of that form. So you would always know the name of the form through which this request has come in. And of course, all the details for the fields that have been provided by the end user, those will be seen here as well. And if in case there are any fields that are mandatory but were not part of the original form, you can go ahead and update them as well. So we have added a comment as well to ensure that you can easily identify whether this request has come in from the external work request feature. So to quickly recap, what we saw here is we looked at how you can go about building a new work request form for any of your existing work item types. So you can make use of the fields on those work item types to build a new form, a shorter form, so that it's easy for the end user to provide the necessary details to get the work started. You can then go ahead and publish that form as part of any of your website pages. Um, you saw how the figure is also shown on the website page once we embed this code. And finally, when the external user is going to submit the request from that external form, that work item will get created inside your project as well. So that's how easy it is to go ahead and capture details from a user who's not going to be part of your project or as part of your application as well. Just to add, this is an add-on module that we have provided for our SwiftEnterprise application. So if you're interested in using this feature, please get in touch with our sales and support team, and they will guide you on the next steps. So along with this, what we have done is the enhancements to the REST API. So first up, what we have enabled rate limit throttling for our REST APIs. So this we have introduced because we would like end user to be as optimal as possible, even when the number of requests that are coming to the server are very high. And also, it is one of the best practices from the security point of view. So by default, we have set the throttling to 600 requests per minute, and that should help you get a good experience overall. Along with this, we have enhanced a couple of our REST API outputs with additional keys so that you are able to make use of those new features which are now part of those eForm service related REST APIs. And on the usability front, we have ensured that when you have a recent comment on the card, it will be highlighted in a different manner compared to the one where there are older comments on it. So if you have comment in say less than 24 hours on a card, it will be highlighted with the orange count. And for multi-select fields, we have ensured that the selected values will always be shown on top so that it's easier for you to know which are the selected values without having to scroll through the entire list of values in the multi-select dropdown. On the browser support front, we definitely want to provide you the best possible user experience. And uh, for that, we would like to take advantage of the modern web standards. Since Internet Explorer 11 has not received any major updates or support for the modern web standards, we will be discontinuing our support for IE 11 from 1st of July, and we have started supporting the Microsoft Edge browser from this release. So we would like you to start using the Microsoft Edge browser as much as possible instead of the Microsoft IE 11 browser, so that the new kind of interactions and paradigms that are available as part of the modern web standards, we can make use of those to provide you a great user experience. So that's all we had for the session today. We hope you have liked the new features and enhancements that we have shipped as part of this release. As we said earlier, we would definitely like to hear feedback or any queries that you may have. And finally, in these troubled times, do stay safe, and we will catch up with you next time on our next release webinar. That's all we had for the session. Have a great day.